Welcome everybody, this is Donald Russell here with DRP Fitness and Health, and today we're going to be going over some abdominal exercises going from beginner to advanced movements, especially after some of those abdominal procedures such as C-sections or tummy tucks. Stay tuned, I got a couple good things coming for you. Okay, so some of the examples that I go through with my clients as far as assessments is I'm looking at how they lay and I have them on the ground flat. So from here, I know when they're laying down that I have a little bit of an arch going in the lower back. So what I like to do is just tell the client, just lift your legs and bend the knees. So bend the knees, come up right here. Same thing with the other one here. Now it gives me a little bit of a better position. Their back is a little bit more flat, but still have some kind of an arch. Now, this can either be the starting position or this can be a position that we regress to. So in order for me to find that out, I have the client lift the knees. So let me see you lift the knees, both knees up. So I'll ask them, how does that feel? Does it feel a little bit heavy or heavy? Okay, so what I like to do here is I like to do more of a hip flexor movement. So I'll have the client, okay, I'm just gonna have you keep this same L position. Now, as we're doing this movement, I want you to keep your lower back pressed into the ground the entire time. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly drop the heels, touch, and then come right back up. I want you to do 3 of those. Slowly come down, touch, here. Now as they're doing this, performing this move, I ask them, how does that feel? A little bit hard, more easy, kind of middle? A little hard. And I can also see in their face that the grimace in that this is a little bit tough. So I say, okay, so what we're gonna do is just place the feet down now. Now, when you was doing those movements, did you feel your lower back kind of coming off the ground as you were lowering it? So this tells me they have a little bit of a tightness or their core is just not strong enough to as well. So this is where I work the regression movements. So now I'll say, okay, one at a time, this is what we're gonna do. Keep the lower back pressed and you're just gonna bring one knee to the chest, coming straight up, there, and then coming right back down, there. I want you to do 3 of those. Perfect, and how does that feel? A little bit better. So now it just tells me that this needs to be the starting position. This is where we regress from, and then we can make it a little bit harder the more we go. And then we'll have you switch legs. Yeah, 2 more. Now, if I wanted to advance this movement, the last thing I want to do is to go into something extremely hard. So I'll just switch the lever of it. So I'll have her straighten this leg out. And I want you to do the same thing. Bring the knee from the chest, but now you're just bringing it from the floor. So from here and extend coming straight out. Lower back still pressing to the ground, still pressing to the ground, which is the most important part. I never want her to arch too much because that just tells me she's using too much of her hip flexors, her psoas muscle, and that's what we don't want to do. We want her to still engage the core and then switch to the side. Perfect, here, and then right back out, here, right back out. Excellent, good, perfect. And then did you feel the core engaged too as you were doing those movements? And these are something that I always want to make sure I'm asking her questions. What does she feel? Because that'll tell me what I need to do for my next movement. And then if I want to make it even harder, have you lift the arms up too as well, both hands, there. Now what I can do is just switch the angle up. So now I'll tell her, okay, just walk your feet out just a little bit more forward. So now you're starting here, you're starting here. Lower back still pressing to the ground. All right, excellent. Now bring the knee up to the chest from here. There, and then coming right back out. So now I can tell she's feeling this a little bit more. All I did was just switch the angle up. I'm still having her press her lower back into the ground, so we're still engaging the core, but we're also keeping correct form and posture, which is the most important part. And this is a beginning or starting move that we were gonna start from. You can bring the hands down. And then this is a starter move. This is what we regress to, but this is at the assessment that I know that, okay, she can't start from the knees to the chest because that's just a little bit too much for her. She's had 2 C-sections and a hysterectomy. So I know she has some muscle tissue damage that is gonna be a little bit hard for her to have any kind of contraction or any kind of control. So I need to start easy and then slowly work my way up. And then from here, we're gonna go into 3 different exercises that we can do that can help her even on her own, that we can get more engagement from that core. Okay, so one of the beginner movements that I like to do is the TRX crunch. This gives me a way to see how she moves, what it feels like, and for her to also feel the engagement of the core. But if it gets too much for her, she can also use the arms to pull herself up and use for help. All right, so what I'll have you do is bend the knees. And then where I want this TRX is, I want it right above the knees, all right? And I want you to sit up nice and tall, and I want the shoulders retracted. So yeah, think of pulling the shoulders back, chest is up. All right, now I want you to slowly lean back while keeping your hands here just above. I want you to slowly start to lean back. Now from here, and then come right back up. Now, as you can see, she starts to shake, so I know that engagement is really, really hard for her when she's leaning back. So now I'll tell her, okay, as you're doing these, I want you to flip the hands facing palms each other. Yep. Now I want you to use more of your arms to help you lean back. So start to lean back, use more of the arms. So this makes it a little bit easier for her. Her core is not shaking as much. And this is a movement that I like to start from. So this gives me a little bit of regression, but I can also work that progression going into it. So lean back a little bit more. We're gonna do 5 of these. Two more. One. Good. Now from here, I know we're using more of the arms, so if I want her to use more of the core, okay, as we're leaning back, use more of that core to try to punch and get yourself up there. Excellent. Engage the core, pull yourself up. Engage the core, pull yourself up. Excellent. And good. Sit up nice and tall. Relax. And that's a starter or beginner movement that I like to go from. This gives her the chance to feel the shaking is so much of her core now is almost screaming just because it hasn't been used as much. So we don't want to attack it too much and cause too much pain. We want her to engage, feel the movement, but even if we have to start from reps of 5, 4, it doesn't matter. As long as we're getting that correct position, that's all we're looking for. All right, same thing one more time. Now, we'll go over how to advance from this movement. So let's say she's feeling a little bit stronger. Let me have you straighten the legs out. Now, main thing when they're straightening the legs out, you just don't want them to round that lower back, because you'll see that'll be the first thing that goes. When the legs go down, they like to round the back. And then now we're using more of the back to pull ourselves up instead of the core. So same thing, I want you to slowly lean back. There, engage the core, let the core pull yourself up. So think of pulling straight up. Excellent. Coming straight down. Excellent. One more. Excellent, good. And then the same thing, we talk about switching that lever. So now straighten the arms out, straighten them all the way out, excellent. And then bring the arms out wide, right there, perfect. Sit up nice and tall. So now I see she still starts to shake, but this is a more advanced movement. Now that pull is not coming from in front of her body, it's coming from the outside. So now it's more on the core to use more engagement to pull herself back up. So now stay nice and tall, pull yourself up, use that core, excellent. Right there, excellent. And good. And if I truly wanted to advance that movement, I tell her straighten the arms out. Now lean back, right there, and hold. Don't let those shoulders collapse forward. You can see the shaking, but we have some core engagement going here. 5-second hold, 4, keep that back straight, 3, 2, 1, and pull yourself up. And that's the beginner movement. Now we're gonna move into a more progression movement, but still watching how much progression we give her. All right, so a second move that we could do is the plank position, which is a core stabilizer. It's a great exercise, but we also want to keep in mind that we have a client here that just had surgical procedures done, the C-section, the hysterectomy. So I know from that beginner stage that it's going to be a little tough for her just to go into a floor plank. So I want to work my way up and work my way back down. I want to go from that regression to that progression movement. So let's go into this plank position, but we're going to be working it off a incline now. So let's go forearms right on top right here. Excellent. And I'm leading to put those feet back just a little bit more. Excellent. Now from this movement, I know, is this a little tough for you at all? Is it okay?
No, this is okay.
So I know from this movement, the incline is gonna help her out tremendously. We're still engaging the core. Let me get you to tuck the hips forward just a little bit right there. We're still engaging the core, but I know it's not adding too much pressure on her. Now, if I wanted to progress from this movement, I can say, all right, I want you to bring the feet back just a little bit more. Excellent, right there. I can just switch her angle up a little bit, just make it a little bit, her lever a little bit longer. Make the core really fight to kind of stay stabilized. And also, I just don't want her to collapse those hips. I want her to keep that pelvis tucked, engage the core, and then I want you to step forward and relax. And I'll make her hold it for maybe about 20 seconds just to start. Now, if I wanted to advance from anything as far as her upper body, all right, stay in that same position. Now I want you to take one hand at a time. I want you to reach right here and then bring it back in. Reach, back in, back in. So now we're adding a little bit of movement to those planks. All right, give me 3 of those. And then this just makes her stabilize just on one elbow, still engaging the core, keeping the core stability, making it a little bit harder for her. And we can do these moves without progressing all the way to a lower position. I can just keep her here until I feel comfortable, until she feels comfortable. And then if she is comfortable, I'll tell you, okay, you can stand tall. And then some of the things that I love about this box here is I can switch the height. So now we're gonna be coming off a lower position. It's gonna be a little bit tougher. Okay, let's go back into that plank position. Now she's a little bit lower. Make sure on those toes. Excellent. How does that feel? Okay, perfect. Now she's okay with it. The first thing I'm watching for is the hips. I don't want her to collapse the hips. So once she's comfortable there and I like the movement, and I'll tell her again, all right, let's reach out again. Reach there. Reach there. Yep. Do you feel the core a little bit more in this engagement? Excellent. A little bit tougher. Here. There you go. One more. Good. Perfect. Then we can stand tall. We can also use the legs too, as well as the marches or the reaching across, just to get some diagonal work. But if I'm comfortable with this movement, I like where she is, I will advance to this movement. If I'm taking a step back, I would say, okay, she's not comfortable yet, even in the plank position, her stabilization movement. She's a little bit shaky, it's a little bit tough for her. I don't want to progress her just yet, so I'm going to keep her at this height. I want her at this incline. But I just want to always make sure I start from that high incline and work my way down. So if she was comfortable with that, then we would slowly start to work our way down and down and down until we get to the floor plank. And from there, even we work one knee on the ground, both feet off until we're in that straight plank position. She's comfortable there, and then we'll add some movements into it. But we always just want to work that regression to progression movement first. And then we're going to move into our third exercise, which is one of my favorite, the physio ball crunch. Okay, now our third exercise is the physio ball crunch. I love doing the crunch instead of the floor crunches, just because I can switch the angle up for the physio ball. So what I have her do is I have her laying on her back. The ball, or where she's laying on the ball, I want it on more of her upper back. This makes it to where she's not engaging the core too much. There's a little bit more of the upper chest region, but I know I'm trying to figure out where my starting point is. So I'll have you go hands to the side of the head. Excellent. Bring them right here, behind the head. Excellent. Now, what I want you to do is, instead of you crunching forward and curving the spine, I want you to crunch and reach your chest up for the ceiling. So it's gonna be going straight up, all right? So crunch right there and slowly come back. Let's do 5 of those. 2, 3. So she's looking good right now. I'm looking for the shakes. I'll be asking her, you know, how does it feel? Is it extremely tough? How's that movement? That's okay?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good? All right, excellent. Now, progressing from this movement, I'll tell her, okay, let's slide the ball a little bit more under you. So let's sit up, slide the ball a little bit more under you. Excellent. Same thing, slide the feet down. So now the ball now is a little bit more on her mid to lower back. So this makes the core a little bit more freer, but engagement is going to be a little bit harder on this one. Okay, so let's go hands again. Let's do another set of 5. Coming up. 1, 2. As you can see, she's starting to get that upper back a little bit more off the ground. So this is the actual crunch that we want. Still, it's not too hard. With the physio ball, we hit more of that stabilization too, because she has to control the ball so it doesn't slide under her. So we're getting the best of both worlds. And good. How was that?
A little tougher.
A little bit tougher. All right, and then I'm going to show her, this is usually where I would keep her, but I'm going to show you a little bit more advanced movement so we can see how her body reacts to it. All right, so let's slide the ball a little bit more towards more on our lower back, but excellent. Perfect. So we're still going to do the same crunch. So now you'll see a little bit more of that mid back come off the ball too as well. Ready? Crunching up. Yeah, so now I can even see it in her face. We're starting to get a lot more engagement. She's starting to get more of a stretch. And then now the stabilization becomes a little bit tougher too as well. 2 more. Yes. And good, relax, perfect. And even though this movement is something that she can do, it all depends on how she feels. I don't want to, you know, crank up too much for her, especially on the first time. Once we go through a few sessions, then this is where I'll add the ball to bring it down to a little bit more of her lower back. But for starters, We'll go a little bit more upper back. I want a little bit more muscle endurance, so I want to stay in that rep range of around 12 to 20 reps. I want to work on that conditioning first, and then we'll start adding a little bit more of the strength. But we're getting a little bit of stabilization, a little bit of strength, and then we'll start to add a little bit more of, some resistance afterwards, to where something to be fighting for her to come up. But that's only until she completes and feels comfortable with all these regression movements and progression movements first. Okay guys, so we went over the assessment that we want to do when clients first come in, especially, for the ones that have had some abdominal procedures. We want to make sure that we're giving them exercises that can be from a regression to a progression movement. We never want to start off too advanced. We always want to start them off slow and more on that beginner stage, and then move them up. We also went over 3 exercises that you can do that can also help them. Remember, it's easy first, and then we make it more advanced. You always want to make sure you're watching the form and posture, and then create something that can add a little bit more resistance to challenge them a little bit more. Okay, for those of you who enjoyed the video, please make sure you like and subscribe. For those of you didn't, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't have to see my video too as well. Any of my personal trainers who have any questions, leave a comment in the section below, and then we'll see if we can come up with some other ways to show education or engage with our clients or engage with anybody else who has any type of questions. Stay tuned, more videos to come with you with DRP Fitness.